I request all the participants to kindly rename themselves with your registered names only. Either we have to remove. So I request you to kindly rename yourself with your registered names only. Keep your video disabled and audio on mute during the entire session, because we'll take the question and answer session at the end of the session. So I request you, keep your video disabled and audio on mute. I once again thank you all for joining us for today's webinar. We are just about to join by our speaker. I can hear some voice. Please kindly mute yourself. It will help us for the smooth conduct of the session. Please cooperate. If during the webinar, for any reason, you exit the session, then to rejoin, you can drop a message in the WhatsApp group stating your reason. We'll add you once again in the session. As you all are aware of, with the discovery of this COVID-19 virus in Wuhan, almost half of the humanity is under lockdown. This global pandemic has brought business and non-essential life to a standstill. Yet, we are thankful to the innovation of humanity during these difficult times. Now we can take our offline events to the online one. And yes, I request you to kindly mute yourself. This will help us for the smooth conduct of the session. And kindly keep your video disabled and audio on mute. I request my technical team, please check and mute. This will help us for the smooth conduct of the session. Please kindly mute and video disabled also. So during this COVID-19, thousands of events were already cancelled due to this coronavirus. Any kind of gathering can be dangerous for all the parties. So the option left with us is just to go offline events to online. And webinar is one of the most effective way. The modern marketing strategy, a perfect way to keep our education and other activities running in this contactless world. And Shivaji College is one of them who is leading in organizing all these kinds of webinar. Each and every society, each and every teacher of our college is taking initiative so that we can convert our offline events into online, and there should be a flow of information going on. It should be continuous. So we are taking all our initiatives. So I once again welcome you all for joining us for today's webinar. We are just about to join by our speaker. We are waiting for our speaker. Again, I request you to kindly go through the protocols so that there is no obstacle, there is no hindrance for the smooth conduct of the session. I request you once again to rename yourself with your registered name. Kindly keep your video disabled and audio on mute. Phone should be kept on silent. All the queries of the participants will be taken at the end in Q&A session. You can drop your questions in the chat box if you are having any query in between the session. If for any reason you exit, then don't worry, we'll add you. Just drop your message to our WhatsApp group. Our technical team will add you. But still, I request you to kindly follow, just go through the protocols, whatever. You can see these protocols on your screen also. something come in my mind during this. We have a chance to do something extraordinary. As we head out of this pandemic, we can change the world, create a world of love, a world where we are kind to each other, a world where we are kind no matter what class, what race, what orientation, what region, or lack of what job we have. The world, we do not judge those at a food bank because that may be us if the things were just slightly different. Let love and kindness be our roadmap. So we are taking all initiatives for the continuous dissemination of the information between you and us. I further request you to kindly go through these protocols. It will help us for the smooth conduct of the session. I once again thank you all for joining us for today's webinar. We're just about to start. We are waiting for our speaker. Rename yourself with a registered one. Video disabled. I'm sorry I have to repeat again and again, but this is the requirement for the smooth conduct of our session. Hello.
मम्मी को बोल दे कि मौसी का जो है ना उन्होंने म्यूट कर रखा है.
I believe Dr. Gupta has joined us. I welcome you, ma'am, to this webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sparing out your valuable time for us.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Is my screen visible to you?
Not yet, ma'am.
Do I need to do something for that? Because my video is playing here.
Okay,
my video is on.
Technical team, please remove this protocol and please help ma'am. Ma'am, you want to share your screen right now? Or shall we wait formally?
No, it's okay. I am ready when the team is ready with it.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. I welcome you once again to this webinar, Reviving Post-Pandemic Opportunities and Impediments. I hope Principal Sir is there. Supriya ma'am, please kindly check. Yeah, sir is there. So I think we are good to go. Shall we start? Good morning,
yes,
sir.
Yes, sir is here, ma'am is here. You can please start with the event.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. A warm good morning to our esteemed guest of the day, Dr. GARIMA Gupta, Associate Professor, FMS, Dr. Shiv Kumar Sahadev, Principal, Shivaji College, faculty members, and my dear students from Pan India. I, Shweta, on behalf of NSS, National Service Scheme, welcome you all to the webinar on Reviving Post-Pandemic Opportunities and Impediments, organized by NSS under the aegis of IQAC of Shivaji College. As most of the participants are from outside, I would like to tell you briefly about who we are, our college. Shivaji College is a premier institution in West Delhi, accredited with grade A by NAC. It was ranked as one of the top 10 science colleges of the country in the survey conducted by India Today. Transform one life, transform the nation is the vision of the Shivaji College. Our college is to produce generation after generation of optimistic, resourceful, committed, passionate future leaders who will continue transforming this society and, in fact, this nation in every positive aspect. The college offers 20 undergraduate courses in science, commerce, humanity, a self-financing course in bachelor's in business economics, 3 postgraduate courses. Some students of the college frequently emerge as rank holder in the university examination, and many are placed for internship and great job opportunities in the prestigious organization annually. Now, as we all are aware of, the coronavirus pandemic has turned the whole world upside down, and the teaching community finds itself in the middle of a brave and innovative new world. In the middle of COVID pandemic and lockdown, social distancing is a new experience for most of us, specifically the teaching community, which is majorly dependent on face-to-face classroom teaching and interaction. During this difficult time, Shivaji College has the highest priority to provide quality education for all its students through online teaching mode. Our focus has been to ensure smooth functioning of the college with minimal disruption. Continuing the culture of disseminating knowledge, NSS unit has taken an initiative and noted that COVID-19 pandemic is once in a lifetime crisis for most businesses. All the crises are opportunity for a radical transforms and for realigning priorities, practices in the pursuit of greater common good. The webinar aims to discuss the possible opportunities and impediments in reviving the business post-pandemic. We are honored to have among us Dr. GARIMA GUPTA, Associate Professor, FMS, University of Delhi, as the speaker of the day. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Before we begin our proceedings of the webinar, I would request convener NSS, Dr. Ruchira Dhingra, to say a few words. Without his guidance and support, this webinar would not have been possible. Ruchira ma'am, please.
सभी को नमस्कार। वेबिनार में उपस्थित सुविज्ञों, दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय के विभिन्न कॉलेजों और शिवाजी कॉलेज के सभी सम्मिलित सहयोगियों, प्राचार्य डॉक्टर शिव कुमार सहदेव सर एवं समस्त प्रतिभागियों का स्वागत, वंदन, अभिनंदन। हमारी आज की वक्ता प्रबंधन अध्ययन संकाय की डॉक्टर गरिमा गुप्ता अपने क्षेत्र की मर्मज्ञ हैं। मुझे पूर्ण विश्वास है कि वे अपने वक्तव्य के माध्यम से हमारी जिज्ञासाओं का समाधान करेंगी। उन्होंने हमारा निवेदन स्वीकार किया, आपका आभार। हमारी सभी योजनाओं के प्रेरणा स्रोत और उन्हें क्रियान्वित करने में सहयोग देने के लिए प्राचार्य महोदय का भी आभार। आप सब सुधीजनों के प्रति भी हम कृतज्ञता ज्ञापित करते हैं, जिन्होंने बहुमूल्य उपस्थित होकर इस सेमिनार को सफल बनाने का हमें आश्वासन दिया है। शिवाजी कॉलेज की राष्ट्रीय सेवा योजना अपने समस्त सहयोगियों एवं छात्रों के साथ विश्व परिदृश्य में व्याप्त कोरोना के आतंक में आप सबके स्वास्थ्य, प्रसन्नता और सुरक्षित भविष्य की कामना करते हैं। धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, ma'am, for always motivating us, for always encouraging us. Now, no event can take shape without a knowledgeable leader. It was the dedication and enthusiasm of our principal sir, Dr. Shiv Kumar Sahadev. Her timely guidance and supervision are commendable. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to you, sir. May I now request Principal Sir to address the gathering.
Thank you, Dr. Garima Gupta, all guest participants, my dear colleagues and my dear students. I am very happy that NSS unit of Shivaji College has organized this webinar on a very relevant topic, and I am sure that you will enjoy it. And I once again thank you all for organizing this webinar. All the best to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for always motivating us. I now take this opportunity to introduce to you the speaker of the day, Dr. Garima Gupta. Dr. Garima Gupta holds a degree in commerce as well as in management discipline. With a total teaching experience of around 20 years, she is presently an associate professor in the Faculty of Management Studies, University of Delhi. In addition to teaching, she has taken training sessions in various management development programs and delivered talks in a number of workshops and conferences. She is an active researcher and has contributed papers in Journal of Repute. She is also member of editorial board of MIT Business Review of MIT Business School, Noida. Ma'am, we are honored to have you with us and thankful to you for taking out your time for us from your busy schedule. I request you to kindly start the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, respected Principal Sir, Dr. Ruchira, NSS team, all the students, the esteemed colleagues, and the participants who are online for this interactive session. At the outset, I would first of all like to thank the team and the Shivaji College for organizing this event, and more importantly, giving me an opportunity to coming here and interacting with you all on this topic, which I'm sure is concerning every sector and the businesses at large. Now, before I start, I would just like to share something. This is not the first time that businesses are gripped with challenge of this sort. We have seen the period of Great Depression. We have seen the other aspects, multiple kinds of crises in the past as well. But what makes this particular aspect different from others is the fact is that not only it has come at a time when obviously we were not prepared. No one can be prepared for a pandemic of this scale. But also at the same time, the economy as a whole is undergoing a slowdown, a worst kind of slowdown. I'm sure my screen is now visible to you. Is it?
Yes, ma'am, you're visible. Your screen
As
is
you can
visible.
see, the COVID-19 impact, as we call it, this has come at a time where India is going through the worst phase so far as its economic progress is concerned. If I may quote the report by Economic Times in the month of early January, it was stated as the worst economic period for India that it has witnessed in last 42 years. From an economic growth of say 8.5% that we had somewhere in 2017, it has gone down to a percentage of 5% right now. And this is something when India was not gripped by this kind of a pandemic. So we are talking about the month of January. So I'm sure we can visualize and we can just imagine what kind of impact this coronavirus is going to have on the businesses, on the economic functioning, on see the overall industrial functioning as a whole. Now, what makes this impact different from others that we have seen so far is its scale, its magnitude, its intensity, where we see that the impact has been crippling, almost like stocking the entire industry, the factories, the working of the businesses. But at the same time, there is a ray of hope, because for some sectors, for some industries, we find that it has also presented opportunities. Nonetheless, business is always open to such kind of challenges. It is known to be working in a very dynamic kind of a setup where it is constantly impacted by the macro and the micro environmental forces. So all we can do is we can assess what kind of an impact this pandemic has resulted in the growth and in the rise of some sectors. So if we look at the situation, we find that it's kind of a mixed bag, where we find that the pandemic has resulted into some sort of a growth opportunities for sectors like your entertainment, your e-commerce, health, services, like let's say banking and so on. At the same time, some of the aspects have literally crippled, like your transit services, your offline retail, restaurants, hotels, out of home entertainment, theaters, theme parks, your travel and hospitality, major events. Now, in the gamut of all this, one has to understand what is in store for business as a whole. We know that we are now more and more digitally dependent. We are not only digitally dependent, but we are making use of digital marketing aids. We are making use of social media in a big way. At home media consumption has grown phenomenally. You know, if we read certain reports, we will find that it's almost 45 to 50% increase in at home media consumption, or the streaming services or the gaming services. E-commerce has gone up. Big basket grocers, they have seen an increase of 46 to 50% when it comes to placing orders online is concerned, especially with respect to what people consider to be the essential products. So when it comes to ordering groceries online, when it comes to ordering items like nutrition, like hygiene products, like cleanliness products, like masks, wipes, your hand rubs, and all sorts of things which have come into demand solely because of this pandemic, we would see a huge exponential growth. Telehealth has also gone up. Teleconferences has also gone up, and we will see sector by sector as to how this digital dependence and this digital inflow has resulted into presenting different kind of opportunities for different kind of sectors. Now, if we look at this change, now what is required by the business is to convert this change into chance. So if you look at the slide here, the difference is only in a letter. This is how you look at the whole situation. This is all about your own perspective of handling it in your way, so that you look for a chance and slowly and gradually adapt your business to convert that chance into a fruitful business opportunity. And believe me, there are ways to go about it. But then at the same time, businesses have to realize that there is no standardized solution which is available for everybody. No business is the same. Their scale, their size, their nature, their objectives all differ. So there is no one size fits all kind of an approach that can be adopted. You have to very minutely see what your structure is, and then given the changes which are happening at the macro level, you have to adapt and convert and create a business model which is going to work for you in the current unprecedented time. Now, when I talk about that, so let me cover it in the form of three potential areas. Here, I'm not talking about any particular sector per se, but I'm talking about what kind of potential opportunities exist for business as a whole. The first and foremost is that businesses can just reassess whether they are having any unused capacity with them. Not only they can make an effort to enhance or increase their capacity, but also at the same time, if there is some unused capacity lying somewhere, this can be possibly put to use in producing those goods which are very much in demand. I would come to this by saying that we have in front of us many examples, including that of Ford. We know that automobiles companies, they are facing this kind of COVID impact, where people obviously are not looking forward to any purchase of automobiles or vehicles in near future. There has been a different kind of a categorization in terms of product demand. People are only requiring these days what they term as being essential, and obviously automobile is not right now at the forefront. So what Ford has done, Ford has taken this initiative of utilizing its unused capacity to come up with the production of the equipment which is very much required in this time, like creating the respirators or the isolation gowns or masks or face shields or face masks or say PPE kits or the ventilators. So right from the healthcare workers to the patients, they have come up with the manufacturing of many medical equipments which could serve the community at this point, right? So all those kind of equipments which are very much in demand. So this is not only their way of utilizing their unused capacity, but at the same time, this is how they are contributing to this kind of a problem in terms of suggesting a solution which is very much called for. The second area where the businesses can just look and see in terms of the potential areas that can be explored is whether or not there is any possibility for them to be expanding their markets or looking for any niche markets, looking for any new products, looking for new segments, looking for new businesses, or it could be a whole mix of those things. Like for example, we see that Airtel or Reliance Jio very recently have come up with work from home plans. You know why they have come up with this? Because this is a kind of the requirement where people have stopped going out, they are facing isolation, the current lockdown is going on, so people are working from home, so they need those kind of data packages to support their work from home, and therefore coming up with these kind of products is just a value proposition for the customers right now, because this is something which is catering to their demand right now. Similarly, the companies or the groups, I can say, like Usha Group, they have come up with their own face masks, which would say, I'm sure people are demanding these kind of masks or sanitizers or let's say hand rub, and therefore let's say whenever Usha the name comes to our mind, we can think of say gadgets, we can think of household appliances, we can think of fans, but now Usha Shriram Group has also come into the face mask category. It means they have analyzed that there is a demand for such kind of product, and therefore if there is a possibility, one should look for the production of new products which probably were not in their pipeline as of now. Similarly, you must have read in the newspapers, many of the textile companies have started producing masks, right? Many of the sugarcane companies have started making use of their byproduct, that is molasses, and they have started converting molasses into hand sanitizers. Dr. Morpen is again one of the examples. We know that Dr. Morpen is in a number of medical devices, medical equipments, be it glucometer or be it, let's say, BP meter and so on and so forth. They have now come up with thermometers which are non-contact thermometers for, let's say, your thermal scanning. Similarly, they have also added another product to their line of business, which is the germ clean hand sanitizers. As you can see in this slide, there is a new product, though which was not launched during this period. This was something which the organizations were working for quite some time, but this is something which has gained momentum in terms of its demand, in terms of its possible consumption and usage in future, and that is naso filters. So these are the filters which were initially designed in order to take care of air pollution. So we know that everybody faces the problem of air pollution, especially in the city of Delhi, where the index is pretty alarming. So you can use these naso filters, and they are, let's say, ready to be launched. And now in the COVID period, these naso filters can also be used in place of masks. So let's say slowly and gradually, when we come out of this kind of a difficult period, probably we can imagine people using these naso filters and obviously developing this kind of habit in their daily routine to be wearing a mask or to be using a sanitizer every time. So you know what COVID has done? COVID has actually changed the way we behave. It has changed the way we consume various products, and probably this is going to give a different kind of an ecosystem for organizations to exist and function in times to come. Again, as I say, in line with the new products, we all know necessity is the mother of invention. We know that there are certain countries that have come out of this kind of pandemic, some which are still struggling with it, and some for which I would say the things are really very difficult at this particular time. Now, if we take the case of China, Wuhan, from where this pandemic originally evolved, they have started coming to a normal routine. Schools have opened up, restaurants have opened up, the economy is back on track somehow. But now, because we know that people are still wary, people are still anxious, there is fear all around, people don't know what is like going to be the next stage, what if it comes back. So they just want to take all the precautions and all the measures and have given way to a new way of working, a new way of lifestyle, a new behavioral change. So as you can see here on the slide, the schools have reopened in China, but at the same time there is a new headgear that they have designed. So students or children, they are expected to wear this headgear every day they attend their classes. This is a headgear which is designed in such a manner that it is going to give you a 1 meter distance automatically. So when you wear this headgear, or say the cap kind of a thing, this is automatically going to ensure that the distance between one child and the other is 1 meter. So it's a, this is a new kind of a product that you have designed, because you know that this social distancing and maintaining a distance so as to protect your health and well-being is something which is very, very important right now in the mind of everybody. And this is something probably that could be the say the new way in which the organizers can, or the firms can start thinking. So it's say, are these the new products that people would be willing to use in times to come? And the answer is yes, because these are the inventions and these are the new products that we all are looking forward to. The third major potential area that I would talk about is how the organizations and firms can leverage digital and the technological shifts or the technological advancements. We have seen that during this period of pandemic, there has been an exponential rise of e-commerce, right? Everybody is, because people are not going out. All the firms which have their online presence, they are functioning solely because of the presence of those digital platforms. So people are making they are placing orders not only through the online platforms, but the app based ordering is something which has increased over this period. Similarly, educational services, we are, let's say, who imagine that let's say we would be holding these kind of webinars and say, and the education system has very openly and radically revamped itself, I would say. So the number of conferences which are taking place these days, online education, online courses on Coursera and on the other platforms, MOOC has come up in a big way. So we used to think about these platforms, but you know, in a way, COVID has forced us to actually adapt them in our daily routine, in our lifestyles. Digital media consumption, people are, you know, because they are spending a lot of time at home, so the at home media consumption has gone up. And we have very recently seen that those mythological programs like your Ramayana, Mahabharata, not only people really like those shows, the repeat telecast of all those programs generating massive ad revenues out of those two programs. In addition to that, the streaming services have gone up in proportion. People are actually, they have started viewing digital media a lot more than they were viewing it in the past, obviously because they are at home and they want something to engage themselves in addition to the work from home things. So the streaming services, gaming services, audio, video, both has gone up. The next change which I have seen happening around is in terms of the technological advancement through robots and drones. Not only like we have seen in so many states, drones were flying just in order to ensure that people stay at home. Drones have been used in order to sanitize the places. Robots have been used perhaps not in India, but in other countries across the globe for sanitization purposes. Even I would say India is not very far behind. Very recently in Kerala, we have started with a robotic sanitization where they have assigned, they have installed robots at particular places, and the sanitization is happening through robots only. Now, this is not new. This is not something which has been introduced during only this COVID period. What I'm trying to emphasize is that India was already following all this. We were already in the stage, and we are already in the stage of digital India. Now, that digital India move, which has actually digitalized every individual, has made every consumer a networked consumer. So you no longer talk about offline consumer, you talk about digital consumer. You no longer talk about offline platforms, you only talk online platforms. Be it come to healthcare, where hospitals like Medanta were already performing robotic surgeries. We are already ahead when it comes to fusing artificial intelligence and machine learning with the products that we produce, how we produce them. We have already come out with, cars without drivers. So we had already made a headway in that particular direction. The only thing that we need to understand is that probably this kind of a digital and technological advancement that we were in a process of adapting and imbibing, probably this has actually become imperative right now. So for at least for some time, we can say that digital holds the key. Digital is the solution to most of the problems right now. So those organizations which were not in tune with this kind of a digital methodology, for them at least there is no other solution but to adopt digital aspects in their functioning, in their organizational working in a massive way. The next aspect is virtual events and workshop. When you talk about, there were many organizations which used to run events. So they were they were into event management. They were into a number of workshops, conferences, trainings. So can you really afford to bring the entire system to a standstill only because the physical connect has been reduced? No. So we are now again making use of those digital platforms in order to carry out the virtual events, virtual seminars, virtual workshop like these, virtual training sessions. Nowadays, if you look at the internet, you would find a number of courses have been launched for even students, be it virtual happiness classes, be it virtual small cookery courses, be it small other kind of programs, even small kind of summer camps, virtual summer camps for kids at home. So we are actually practicing and trying to leverage, trying to take advantage of this kind of a digital revolution and convert the same for the best advantage to the organization. Now, if I look at the perspective from the point of view of different sectors, I would like to divide the risk spectrum on two main extreme sides. One, I'll be talking about those sectors and those areas of business where the risk is considerably low. I would say in relative terms. I'm not saying that they are really flooding, but say the kind of situation that we are facing right now, believe me, nothing is going to be sufficient. Nothing is going to be best. Nothing is going to really meet the people. Nothing is good enough to withstand this kind of crisis of this intensity, crisis of this magnitude. But in relative terms, I would say that these are the sectors which are still low risk areas where the businesses either have bounced back or they can bounce back, by introducing little changes in the way they function. Whereas on the other side, we have got those sectors and those kind of businesses where the risk is relatively on the higher side. So they are really facing this kind of problem, and I am also going to touch upon certain solutions which probably they can work in order to make that particular situation little manageable at their end. So first, coming down to the low risk areas or low risk sectors. The first, as I said, is entertainment. So from at home, you are let's say out of home entertainment, one has now shifted to at home entertainment. So it's low risk. So all you need to do is digitalize everything. All you need to do is that the digital content providers, or what you call as OTT media, over the top media providers, they have to now rebundle their content libraries in order to connect with the consumers better. But there is a huge potential out there, because people are in a massive way adopting the digital consumption of media, not only in terms of frequency, but also in terms of content, also in terms of see their preference and their willingness to continue with these kind of services post COVID also. Education, I have already talked about it. Education has adopted it in a very positive, healthy manner, and we have got, say, ample opportunities for the universities and the academic institutions to rework on their curriculum, to design things so that there is a good connect between the consumers, students primarily, and the teaching fraternity. So we are slowly and gradually closing the gap between say the providers and the recipients, and this again is possible through the digital platforms. Though at the same time, I do acknowledge that there is a way to go. I'm not saying that the entire picture is very rosy. I'm not saying that we have reached the scale and we have reached a situation where we are not facing a problem anymore. All that I'm trying to uh, uh, bring attention to is the fact that these are the services which can be adapted in the light of the current situation that we are facing. So obviously business has to attune itself, these sectors have to attune themselves in order to what is required, what kind of change is required right now. When it comes to service industry, we know that essential services were on, and basically how they were working and how they have come up in this kind of a zone where they are considered to be relatively low risk sector when it comes to the impact that they are facing from COVID, is the fact that they have come up with the systems where they are providing the delivery of the services which are primarily contact less. So you are going into contact less service delivery provisions, be it banking, which is primarily operating as, say, e-banking or mobile banking, remote banking, so to say. So we all are practicing that nowadays. Be it come to all sort of services which you are availing through the online platform. So the service industry, many of them are still able to cater to your needs, be it the healthcare. Even doctors have started with online consultations, phone consultations, realizing that there is a need to maintain less contact between the people because they are weary, they are scared, and there is less likelihood that they will be coming out in open and would be doing those kind of interactions in the physical form that they were doing in the pre-COVID stage. So healthcare and health technology is not only on the rise, but has also given a lot of boost to the other aligned sectors. So when it comes to PPE, because we know that the healthcare providers, they need to take care of themselves by wearing this kind of protective kit so that they do not contaminate get contaminated by this kind of virus. So obviously they are giving avenues, they are giving opportunities to those who produce these PPE kits. And we have seen it in news that how many PPE kits, massive number of them have got produced in last couple of months in India, right? Then when it comes to electrical appliances, I'm not saying that people are going ahead and buying electrical appliances. I'm saying that electrical appliances as a whole would also see a change in demand. So everybody these days, every household is facing the problem where they are not having any house help, right? Because of the lockdown situation, people are working from home and they are managing their household chores as well. So there is going to be a change in the demand for certain kind of appliances like washing machine, right? So those who were not having access to these kind of appliances earlier, they are now going to, they are likely to invest in these kind of gadgets because they have to do the work on their own. They are not relying on house help. Similarly, the other new product which I foresee might gain an increase in times to come is the products like dishwasher, right? So probably in India particularly, we are not in a habit of buying dishwasher and cleaning our utensils through that, but then now is not a period that we have seen any time in the past as well. So we'll say unexpected situation calls for unexpected solutions as well. Similarly, this kind of an unexpected situation has called on creation of unexpected or new products which are going to make people's life easier. Coming to office cost reduction, so we know that the offices premises are going unutilized, they are not being used. Many offices would now need their offices premises to be redesigned, like say separate workstations for people who work on in those offices. So you need to redesign the whole structure. So there comes the role of the architectural services, the services of the interior designers, the services of all the allied businesses who are going to come together and help offices in restructuring or redesigning their systems so as to maintain this kind of social distancing even in months to come. So we would see that even within the system, we would see massive revamping taking place. Coming to the sectors or the areas of business where the risk is considerably or relatively on the higher side, like say people are not going to those offline stores. We don't know what is going to be in store in next few days. Probably they are going to relax some of the restrictions. The offline stores would be function on say odd even basis in Delhi and the other states, but at least the offline retail stores are the stores which have been impacted in a negative way because of this coronavirus. Now, what can they do? So again, there is a change which is called for. You have to devise a mechanism where you would be able to connect your offline retail with your online presence. I would like to here quote an example, which is, let's say, Xiaomi very recently. Say just a couple of days back, Xiaomi has introduced this kind of change in the way they are going to connect with the consumers. So especially with respect to their exclusive showrooms, they have come up with a unique web application. And how their web application functions is they are using that web application to connect with the consumers on their websites and telling them what exactly is available in their Xiaomi stores, right? So through that web application, you can see what all models, what all things, what all products are available in the store. You pick and choose what you like. You can connect back to the organization saying that this is the product I want. Make an online payment. The moment you make an online payment, they would connect with you and would make arrangements to provide the product at your doorstep. So they would be working in such a manner with their logistics that you would be able to get that product. So just imagine, without even going to the store, you would still be buying the product from the store which is inside the store. So you would be able to have a look what is inside, and you would be able to place an order and you would be able to get it, right? So though they have not started it in a, let's say, full-fledged way, but this has given us a direction that okay, online retail can come to your rescue, and you can probably come to a situation, a solution where there would be a very beautiful blend that organizations can work in terms of connecting their offline presence with their online thing, right? And of course, those who are not having any sort of an online presence as of now, for them, the only bailout is to go for the online thing. This is something which really has become imperative in the current time. If I may talk about transit services, another, I would say, badly hit sector, badly hit area. So it's say when it comes to buses or metros or say any sort of public transport. We know that because we are maintaining social distances, and the virus is of the type where people have to really maintain a social distance if they really want to, let's say, protect themselves. Transit services have been worst hit. And we know that unless and until they again modify their services and they revamp the entire product design, it would be a very, very difficult situation, right? So what you have to do is you have to come up with, as I mentioned, you have fused digital, you have fused AI, you have fused machine learning. So probably we can look forward to a situation where there would be cars that would be flying, but there would be some sort of a contact less system. There would be, so it's a less number of passengers sitting there. You have to rework on your let's say capacity. You have to rework on the spacing part. So it's how people are going to be seated. That thing has to be reworked now. Again, when I talk about the transit services, I would here mention that there are avenues where you can come up with the kind of concept like autonomous vehicles. You know, you can run these kind of vehicles, and you can make use of the public transport system in order to make the delivery of essential products possible with the masses. You know, now are facing this kind of situation where workers are migrating. So we are using our public transport system to help those migrating workers to reach their hometowns. Similarly, we can make use of these public transport services. We can make use of these transit services in order to develop and design a delivery system. So, you know, there could be an autonomous system where there is a delivery van, there is a delivery bus, and you can have one delivery boy stationed in that particular bus, and then there is a route that you follow. You can drop the supplies, and you can like provide the delivery of supplies to people. Just imagine, instead of functioning on one-on-one car basis, how many households and how many checkpoints you can cover through this route, through such kind of delivery vehicles. So you really have to develop, and you have to just think out of box, and you have to come up with a different kind of a business model which is going to work and going to enable you to come out of this kind of a critical situation. Now, this is all not imagination. What the ways that I'm suggesting, most of it are in the pipeline. Most of the organizations and the businesses have started working in those areas, or probably they can take some ideas, they can take some suggestions and can start working in these lines so as to make things more workable and less detrimental at the end of these high risk sectors. Again, coming to restaurants, worst hit sector. People are not going to restaurants, the food outlets, and they are not going to go to these kind of restaurants and places in near future as well, be it saloons, be it gyms, be it parlors. You know, if we can take some lessons from the countries, from the places which have revived, and which, let's say, how they have revamped it, we would again see that a lot of change has come up in the designing of these services, in the designing of these sectors. Like restaurant, for example, the other day I was reading that Hong Kong, Philippines, Singapore, they have opened up their restaurants, but with the difference where they have come up with table partitions. You know, there are glass ceilings and glass partitions, so that automatically there is a distance between one table and the other table. Right? They are into robotic sanitization of the entire place. Outlets like McDonald's, they have come forward with a massive statement saying that they do realize that the consumers are going to behave in a different fashion. They do hold a concern for their base of consumers, and therefore they are going to take every step possible so as to ensure that customers' well-being stays protected. When it comes to cleaning, when it comes to maintaining hygiene, when it comes to creating space between the tables, when it comes to sanitizing the whole premises on a regular basis, you know, you have to do it now. This is now going to become the new norm. This is now going to become a new habit. So if you have to redesign your internal facilities in order to give way to this kind of a change. Parlors, again, many of them, let's say the big chains, of course, they have started with online grooming courses, online beauty courses, so as to stay in connect with their consumers. Gyms, because they have now started offering, even the parlors, they have started offering the services at home. Again, as I said, in case of business, we find that there is a lot of interdependence. Nothing operates in isolation. No single organization operates in isolation. There's a constant interface that you have, not only with the other organizations, but with your environment as well. So in line with that, realizing that this is now going to be the new norm, the products that we now find, the entire range of beauty products is going to be revamped, where you are going to come up very soon with the products which are going to have the single use. Right now, how this is going to work? If you are going to have a single use product, the chances are less that you would be repeating or you would be using the same beauty thing on to some other customer, thereby reducing your chances of coming into any sort of a virus contact. Now, so you have to really think in a very, very different manner. Coming to the next sector, which is MSME, I'm going to talk about it in a little while, where in the light of the recent subsidies and the recent economic stimulus which has been provided by the government. Out of home entertainment, like the theaters, like your theme parks, like your, let's say, entertainment zones, obviously they have again taken a hit, and therefore you have to give that kind of an experience to the consumers at home. Somehow you have to develop a mechanism where you would be able to reach out to the consumer at the point of the consumer's location, which right now is at home, right? So, and this is what businesses are expected to do, and this is what businesses usually do. They rise up and they grab the opportunity which the change in the environment throws at them. Coming forward, the challenge. So I've talked about the various potential areas. Let us address the situation from the perspective of what are the possible impediments. One is, in the process of addressing this crisis, we should not fall prey to another crisis, right? So we should not find ourselves, the businesses should not find themselves in a bigger mess. How you can avoid that? You can avoid that by strategically planning your move. You can avoid that by coming in terms with a proper planning process. You have to rationalize everything, right? It would say your action should not precede your planning process. So you should understand what is required, what I need to do in this kind of change scenario, what kind of adaptation is required for, so that I avoid further kind of a crisis situation. The second is lack of manpower. People are migrating. Migration of people is one big problem that everybody is facing. So even if the economy bounces back, even if the business starts resuming their normal operations, you do not have access to manpower, right? And they are not likely to come back any soon. So now you have to again revamp your things. You have to go through automated operations. You have to learn to work with less task force, right? You have to, like, the entrepreneurs have to come up in a big way. Employment opportunities at the same time have to be generated, right? Even grocers and big basket, they have hired so many delivery men, because their future growth, they have expanded, and they have started almost 250 stores, easy day outlets in big bazaars across the country. So if you are opening up and if you are starting up, obviously you would need people. Even though you are maintaining that kind of distance, even you are going to work with less task force, you have to sum up and somehow create a situation where you are giving opportunities also, and at the same time you are maintaining their say well-being, you are reducing their risk, and you are able to function with the limited resources that you are having, the human resources and as well as the financial resources. Unanticipated demand is a real problem. And why this is a real problem? Because exactly we do not know. There are many questions which organizations and the individuals are grappling with right now, starting from what is going to happen next. Are we really going to come out of this situation? When are we going to come out of it? How we are going to come out of it? How my demand pattern is going to change? What kind of products would see the demand? Am I in a position to supply those kind of products which would be in demand in times to come? I am not in a position to really forecast and anticipate because the things are really not very clear to me. So the businesses have to take one step at a time. They really have to anticipate, and in light of their anticipation, they have to come up with the products which are designed to meet the requirements of the current change which is ongoing. Issue of the liquidity problem. There is obviously a cash crunch. You need working capital in order to let your business going, and obviously government also realizes it and is pumping your economic stimulus packages into the system to help you in running your businesses. Supply chain has been worst affected, right? With no production processes going on, with no demand and supply match, there's a wider gap that you see. And the challenge is how to restore this supply chain, how to make optimal utilization of those resources which have been interrupted, your supply chain which has got interrupted because of this ongoing pandemic. Migration of people, as I said, this is further going to affect your problem when it comes to lack of manpower. Now, what is required? There are certain things where the government intervention is very much called for, like the economic stimulus packages. We have very recently seen that, a massive figure of, 20 lakh crores has been pumped by the government, providing different kind of economic stimulus to various kind of sectors, be it MSMEs, be it your agro business, be it your fisheries, be it your farming, be it your sugarcane farmers, and so on and so forth. So, these economic stimulus are really going to help the economy. When it comes to, like, even for the workers, your Mahatma Gandhi Narega scheme, there's almost an 11% increase in the minimum wages. I'm not saying this is sufficient. This is not at all sufficient. Even the finance minister in her yesterday's speech did acknowledge that nothing that you are doing right now is going to be good enough. But at least we are making a headway. At least, like, you cannot just sit back and wait for the economy to, like, let's say, be inactive, or let's say come to shambles. You have to somehow come up with a mechanism so that you would be able to survive and you would be able to bounce back. So obviously the economic stimulus which is being provided by the honorable Prime Minister and the government at large is really going to help a lot to the businesses to come back to the fore. Again, one of the initiatives of the Modi government, and something that he talked about in his latest speech, was vocal for local. So it's you are going to really pay emphasis on your domestic production. You really have to go and you have to really support your indigenous manufacturing units. It is now the time to really stop your preference and your demand for the other goods, but to, with all support and with all confidence, you have to create a market for your own products, and you have to really upscale your domestic production system, and vocal for local is just one of such things. On the third frontier, I would say there is a massive need to fuse the public and private partnership. Believe me, this is not the time one is expected to be creating this kind of divide that, okay, this is government and this is private, this is public and this is private, and therefore only government should be entrusted with this kind of task or the responsibility to revive the economy. In fact, you need a fusion of public and private. You need a partnership of public and private to boost the economy and to like really pump that kind of revival in the business sector, and together they can really do wonders. Prioritized spending, as I said, just take a stock of what is required and what is not. Just like on an individual household basis, each and every household is taking a stock of what is required in my house right now. So I would only be buying what is essentially required and would be cutting down on my luxury spend. Similarly, the organizations need to assess what is really required for them and reprioritize their spending, reassess their budgets, and utilize this period to revamp and redesign their organizational structuring so as to make it more compatible for the future changed scenario. The marketeers, the organizations, the businesses as a whole need to develop an omni-channel approach. What I mean by omni-channel is you have to adopt an approach where everything is to work. You need to, if you are giving a shopper an experience, if you are giving a shopper a flexibility in terms of omni-channel, it means you are giving him or her an opportunity to exercise every possible channel. So let's say you go overboard when it comes to your adaptation with different kind of channels, with different kind of modes, with different kind of working platforms. So all in all, you need to redesign and restructure the way you address the needs. Am I running out of time?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So what we basically require is to analyze, to anticipate, and adapt. So the crux that comes out of the whole discussion, I would wrap it up in 3 stages, saying that you do your research, figure out how the industry trend is working, what has been the change in the consumer demand, mindset, habits, consumption pattern, behavior. You try to anticipate the demand for new products, the demand for change in the existing ones, the possibility of creating the new markets and new segments, adapt your existing functioning in the light of what is required today, given the scenario where the social distancing is going to prevail for a little while longer. People are not going to come out in full force in times to come. There would be a certain degree of apprehension. Economy is going to take some time in order to come back and revive. So you, in all, need a new business model. As I look at it, and even as has been discussed in very recent McKinsey's report, the new business model by the organization expects the businesses to look at 5 R's. And these 5 R's of the process of the entire change in your business requires due attention to: 1, resolve. So resolve means you have to immediately pay attention to those aspects of your business functioning which need your urgent attention, right? So how am I going to, or how can I take care of the consumer demand right now, whatever may it be a demand which can be served by stretching my existing production capacity a little bit? Can I cater to this kind of a change in demand by utilizing my unused capacity? Can I address this change in the demand or the requirement at the end of the user or my target base of consumers through going or adapting the digital mode of transactions, and so on and so forth? So you have to resolve to look for those areas which require your immediate attention. The second is a resilient approach to business. You have to develop resiliency in the sense that you have to understand that you have to recover from this kind of crisis. Return, when you bounce back, and for those sectors who are going to be very likely resuming their normal activities in days to come, how they would be, how would can they make a comeback which is going to be fruitful for their organization, which could be promising in terms of creating a favorable ecosystem for their enterprise and for the economy as a whole. Reimagination, where you have to rework, you have to reimagination, is this work which was being carried out, this production process which was done in my enterprise in this fashion up till now, how can I rework around it given the change in the overall scenario? And then I have to reform in the sense that I have to see what kind of legislative mechanism I need to follow, what kind of reform practices are going to help me and are going to change the way in which I would be working in my business. Last but not the least, see, everything comes to an end. Even the happy moments come to an end. The moments of low period also comes to an end. So I would like to wrap up by saying that the comeback is always stronger than the setback. Even though the picture is gloomy right now, but there is a ray of hope. There is always a silver lining at the back of the dark cloud. So the businesses have to revive, they have to bounce back, they have to stand up to this current challenge amidst this all unpredictability, uncertainty in the COVID period. And I'm sure that as economy, as a promising business enterprise, we would rise up to this kind of challenge and would bounce back with all power that we have in our hands. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an insightful session. Yes, you rightly said that there is a time to strengthen the foundation of economy, such as financial system, inflation, capital productivity, supply chain, liquidity problem, and most importantly, migration of people. And the government is required to work upon all these 5 R's that you have just mentioned in your PPT. Now I would request Manisha Rani ma'am to take up the question answer session. Ma'am, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shweta. Thank you so much, ma'am, Garima ma'am, for so informative session. And there are some questions from the participants. First
Sure.
one is, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
First question from the participants are, how small and medium enterprises will revive their self?
Okay, I mentioned it in my presentation also. There has been an economic stimulus being announced by the government, especially for MSMEs, small scale and medium enterprises, just in order to boost these organizations. So obviously, and I also mentioned in my presentations that these MSMEs are on a different stage when it comes to our risk spectrum. So they are the high risk sector. So obviously for the time being, the situation is that of a setback. The situation is very challenging for them, but I'm sure with the government stimulus package being announced, especially for MSMEs, they are going to revive their working.
Next question is, what about the agriculture? Agri and agro-based businesses are suffering a lot today.
Yes. Again, for agro business, government has announced massive plans for them, not only for the farmers, even for there has been a call where they are trying to set up a mechanism where the farmers can directly connect with the traders, thereby reducing or bridging the gap. We need to connect with them and figure out what kind of problems they are facing at the farm end, and let's say the loan waivers, or let's say the need where you are giving money to them to revive their farming, be it money to buy seeds or the fertilizers, or let's say anything which they require right now, because we know that this is something which has always been a catalyst when it comes to the agricultural sector, and that too, the agricultural sector along with industrialization has been a catalyst so far as the growth for India is concerned. So obviously government is also focusing on these aspects and these sectors.
Next question is, we have seen a lots of job cuts in the last few days, especially in the private sector. Do you think it's customer prefer made in India product? It's going to help employees revive their jobs, as majority Indians customers are now very particular in terms of quality of the products.
Yes, why now? I'm saying now, I would say why not, and now exactly is the time, you know. Right now it seems, and it has happened, that in some of the cases the jobs have been worst hit, you know. Some of the sectors, like in case of aviation, in case of offline retail, people have lost their jobs, and it's only because the offices and the factories and the industries are only functioning at 1/3 of their strength. There is always and there is obviously an apprehension in the minds of the people whether or not their jobs are going to stay in place or not. But you know, with these kind of expansion programs, with this kind of an approach where you are motivating and you are providing the due required momentum to your own domestic indigenous industries, obviously when they start reviving and flourishing, they're going to open up job opportunities for others. Even in the other sectors, you know, there, though the jobs are going to suffer, but at the same time there would be a change in the sense that now you are looking at a different talent acquisition, you know. So talent, no doubt would be required, but you need to acquire a different kind of a skill set, because you also need those kind of people who can rise up to this kind of challenge. So a different requirement is going to come up on its own. At the same time, when it comes to employment opportunities, we are looking forward to the entrepreneur as one of the very strong areas. So, you know, entrepreneurs have to come up. Entrepreneurs would ensure that there would be lot many job opportunities for people, because this is one area, you know, where not only you can create jobs on your own, for your own, but also for others. So entrepreneurship is going to come back in a big way.
Ma'am, next question is, how digital marketing will help us after lockdown?
My answer to this is, only digital marketing is going to help you to come back and revive, at least for some period. I'm not sorry.
Next question is
No, I
that
haven't answered this
okay,
one.
ma'am.
There was some
Please
disturbance
continue.
in the background, so I
Okay,
thought
okay.
that probably there is some interruption from my side. So to answer this last one, I would say that digital media and the digital marketing, social media marketing has become thing or the norm in the current time. You cannot do without it for some more time, till the economy, till the businesses, they find their new normal, right? So till we find what our new normal is and start functioning according to the new normal, digital is something which is the only key, which is the only solution to most of our problems right now.
Ma'am, next question is the traditional and open universities are going to emphasize on the online education? If yes, then how the issues faculty development may be addressed?
I would say they are already addressing this. You know, are we not?
Yes.
The central and the state universities, they are always considered to be the traditional universities who have been imparting education in the traditional way, that one-on-one, eye contact, physical contact teaching programs. Have we not revamped ourselves? This webinar that is being conducted right now is the case in point. right? So we have got so many sessions that are happening on a daily basis. Academic institutions, universities, private sector, they are organizing so many courses, so many interactive sessions, so many conferences, so many virtual courses, so many online courses. I would say education services has come up as the best example that has that one can witness these days. So the services which have completely revamped themselves when it comes to fusion of what they were delivering and how they were delivering up till now to what they are doing now, so the teachers are going online. They have already gone online with the courses. Even the faculty development program is being taking place online. The case in point is a very, very recent program which has been undertaken by your Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University. They launched 2 cycles of EFDPs for their teaching faculties. So you name it, we have all those things really happening in the real time.
Ma'am, next question is from Dr. Renu Bavija. She is saying that what is your views about the legal sector and how they are going to revive, as in the most of the district court, as it is very difficult to maintain physical distancing.
See, I'm not an expert when it comes to legal services, but what I can say is what is turning out to be true for most of the other services would and should eventually work for legal services as well. So there you can always work through virtual courts, and not only virtual courts or e-courts. These e-courts are not only going to, this is going to come up as a situation where we can term this kind of a COVID to be providing a very positive ground, very positive situation towards working and improving our legal systems. Those pending cases, because of the speed, because of the constraints that the courts have to function, and they were functioning in a certain way, you could only handle a certain number of cases, and you could only give your verdict for certain number of cases on a daily basis. So it's resulting into a massive backlog. Thanks to this kind of a system, thanks to the e-court and the virtual courts that we can have and we can design, which is not only going to give a solution to the legal services, but is also going to help us in taking care of our pending cases and providing speed to the entire service system.
Ma'am, one more question.
Sure.
The term social distancing is very problematic because we are a social being and society cannot exist without it. It should be physical distancing actually. What is your opinion, ma'am?
Yes, actually, social distancing, we have taken it in literal sense of the word. I see social distancing is the physical distancing, but yes, this has also resulted in the social distancing between the people. But when you start working with the digital platforms, don't you think for last couple of years people were actually practicing this kind of social distancing, so just connecting with people online, and say how many get-togethers and how many those kind of physical events have you seen in recent years? Say that we are losing that kind of physical connect, and we are now deliberating more on e-connect. We have now moved from just delivering satisfaction in the conventional sense, and we are moving towards providing an engagement in a virtual platform. So we are already in that in that domain, and it has its own minus and it has its own plus points. So where the social distancing and this new norm of working on the digital platforms and in a virtual manner has helped you now in the COVID times, it has also resulted in a different kind of a setup where the society as a whole has undergone this kind of a transformation where people are not interacting one on one. They have stopped engaging in that kind of a physical interaction, and they are so much now being driven by the gadgets and the devices and all these kind of digital platforms. So obviously, if it has its advantages, if it has a scope and an opportunity for the businesses to revive, we also would be facing many problems because of these digital platforms in times to come. So that is also a reality.
Ma'am, one more question for you, ma'am. Is online education really helpful for us? If yes, then what will you say about teacher future? Will it reduce the education corruption?
I I am not very sure as to what you exactly mean by teacher corruption. And belonging to the same fraternity, I feel that there is nothing of the sort. There should not be anything of that sort. Yes, for our teachers, for the teaching fraternity, for the educational services, this is a period full of opportunities. Why do you think that the fraternity would be out of jobs? Why do you think that you would be losing out on what you deliver? Just think of it. You would be providing more value driven educational services to your students. You would be able to reach out to the people you were not in a position to reach out to earlier. Don't you think this kind of an online education, these kind of online platforms enable you to reach out to the remotest areas? Also actually making education all inclusive, making it available to people who are not having access to the conventional educational system. So why don't you look at the whole scenario from this perspective? So it is basically your content which is going to rule the ground. So can we say that the implementation of the online courses through the MOOCs has made the teaching fraternity less important? No way. It is how you provide the value in terms of whatever you deliver. It is your content. It is what you provide, how you keep yourself updated, and how you can catch up on. Why don't you see this as one of the opportunities where you can enhance your skill set and register yourself for lot many online courses and upgrade your skill set? It, be it academics, be it in any other thing that you find yourself interested in. So just register yourself in so many online courses. Why do you want your services and your content to be restricted only in the physical classroom setting? This has actually given you a wonderful opportunity to branch out and to expand your services, and so to get that kind of a phenomenal reach which this digital platform provides you. So I don't think this has led in any way or internal services. To me, this has expanded the opportunity and growth.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I hope all the queries of the all participants resolved now. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the wonderful session. Over to
Thank
you,
you so
Shweta.
much. I would again like to take this opportunity to thank the organizers, the NSS team, Dr. Ruchira, Principal Sir, all the participants, though I could not go through, say, the participant list, and the list is also huge, but I'm sure there must be the faculty members, some of my contemporaries, some of my students. Thank you so much for connecting with me on this particular platform and giving me the opportunity to come online and engage with you through this session. Thank you so very much.
Thanks to you, ma'am, for sparing out time for us. And you can also see the chat box. It is already flooded with all the compliments to you.
Okay.
for such a wonderful session that you have just taken up. So thank you, Manisha ma'am, for taking up that Q&A session for us. And now I would request Dr. Mridula Budraja ma'am to deliver a vote of thanks. Ma'am, over to you.
On behalf of NSS unit of Shivaji College, I would like to thank Dr. Garima Gupta for providing an extensive review of upcoming new business opportunities like virtual happiness classes, telehealth, teleconferencing, e-commerce, and various others. I was just thinking that till a few months ago, we would hardly find any participants from outside Delhi in our seminars. But right now, just a question from some participant from Ranchi came in front of me. And so this is something new that is coming, that we are getting participants from entire nation, as you said just a minute ago. So I'm sure that with time we will reach a new equilibrium, and this new equilibrium will be a blend of the old ways and the new emerging ways. I'm really thankful to you, Dr. Garima, for having spared valuable time to provide insight into the current and upcoming business and employment opportunities. And thanks to all NSS team members for so efficiently organizing this webinar. And thanks to all participants for making it a huge success. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. My pleasure.
Thank you so much, Mridula ma'am. Thank you so much, Garima ma'am, once again. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, I hope that all the participants have already filled their feedback form for the purpose of attendance.
May I leave the session now with your permission?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, all the participants, for making this program a success. Thank you very much. Have a great day. I would request participants to leave the meeting now and ensure that you all have filled your feedback forms too. So please fill your feedback form, and the rest, those who have already filled the feedback form, they can leave the meeting. Thank you so much, all the participants, for patiently listening, and have a great day.